I'll get you next time, bottlenecks. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Zetas Prevails. Today we're going to talk about how to beat the bottlenecks in this game. Bottlenecks being the things that prevent us from advancing as quickly as we would like to. Now, it's going to be a challenge to discuss every single bottleneck in every single possible game state, early game, late game, mid game, etc. But I think we're going to cover most of our bases. Most of the early game stuff has frankly been largely eradicated by Mark 1 guild currency, so we're gonna just gloss that over. What we're not gonna gloss over are my patrons. You guys are amazing, and I really appreciate the support, guys. You're amazing. Thank you so much. I couldn't do what I do without you. I really couldn't. So it means the world to me, folks. And if you want to support this channel for free, folks, all you gotta do is hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, comment. Let's mount the algorithm for once in our lives. It's May. You may want to mount the algorithm. That's a really good excuse. It's a good reason. Now, this video is a little different from the one that I made last month for the best value for each currency. This one is going to tell you how to beat the bottlenecks, not necessarily how to be the most efficient. So if you want to watch that video, I'm going to link it in the video description. You can go check that out at your leisure. This is an amazing video. It's a must-watch. Trust me, guys, it is amazing. I wouldn't tell you otherwise, frankly. Okay, so Bronzium Wiring is probably the thing that keeps me up the latest, the most at night, whatever. Lots of things keep me up, mostly my hatred of sleep, but first off, the box of shame, and I hope that this graphic isn't too tiny for you folks. Graphic is not a euphemism for something else. Now, the box of shame, you don't want to spend crystals of pretty much any persuasion on Bronzium Wiring. I realize that some people are going to do that. I feel like that is one of the worst ways. I mean, I've done it myself. It's just such a tough thing to get. This is the second relic upgrade material. It's just very tough to get. You don't want to spend your raid currency on it either. Terrible value. I mean, I don't even want to use the word value. Like, there is almost zero value to it. It is like, it's mostly them saying, hey, would you like to throw away your currency? And you're like, yes, please. In exchange, can you give me? And they're like, no, throwing it away means in the garbage. You don't get anything for it. So that's basically what it is. Don't spend your Mark 3 guild currency on it, or Mark 2, whatever it is. This graphic is too small for me. Now, you can buy certain gear that turns into Bronzium Wiring pretty good. You can spend your guild activity, like the guild currency, right in the 2 slots next to the young Han Solo slot in your guild activity store. You can buy those 2. They're not all going to be turn into Bronzium Wiring, frankly, but a lot of them do, and they're all pretty useful, in fact, pretty much all of them. Same with the Squad Arena. If you scroll all the way down, you can buy gear for Squad Arena currency, whatever that's called, and I have a video that has all the names of all the currencies, guys. Go watch that. Remember how I told you it was amazing? It's probably pretty good at the very minimum. It's decent. But the Squad Arena currency, again, you probably want to get as much of this as you can. You run out of it a lot because you turn it all into Bronzium Wiring for the most part. Some of it's going to be for other things, but for the most part, that currency is also really strong. And then if you have an excess of Mark 1 raid currency, you can buy the following. You can just read the list and see, like, those are the most efficient places to get those, to get Bronzium Wiring from them. Yes, it's kind of a ripoff. It's not the most efficient thing, but if you already have 2,000 Kyrotech and all the stun cuffs and all that stuff, then you could, if you just have too much Mark 1 currency for the raid, because we have a finite amount of space for them, those are some of the gear pieces you can get to get them. And then, of course, you can always just farm those keypad things, whatever they're called, on on the Kyrotech node, which is light side 7B, and that's probably where I get the majority of my Bronzium wiring. Yes, it's all just a horrific mess. It's tough to get this stuff, but those are probably the best places to look. Now, Chromium Transistors, guys, I'm going to tell you, once I discovered this, and it took me a while, I'm embarrassed to say, but, I mean, it's been a few years now that I've known about it. This is the only thing you need. Don't spend your raid currency on it. Don't spend your conquest currency on it. Chromium Transistors could rip you off really bad. The only thing you need. Just check this as often as you can. Every time you have a refresh in the shops, go to the Guild Activity tab and look for the slot 2 to the left of Young Han Solo's slot and get those Mark 7 Blast Tech weapon mods. They will turn into a bunch of Chromium Transistors. That's literally, guys, the only thing you need to ever buy for Chromium Transistors is the Mark 7 Blast Tech weapons mod. Seriously, just do that. You don't have to worry about this piece at all. Otherwise, it's a huge bottleneck and very, very expensive. Electrium. Now, I'm recycling a slide from a previous video, but Electrium is in pretty high demand, considering you need it for what, like Relic 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9. So you need it for all of them. If you want to take it up, you need 20 of it as opposed to Zin Biddle. Sometimes you only need 10. What the heck, Zin Biddle? But you can get it for raid currency, which is probably the best value. You can also get it from Conquest, which is okay. That's fine if you can afford it. You probably want to spend it on signal data first, maybe on some of the gear 12 gear, all that stuff. But if you have enough, buying some Electrium for it is not a bad deal. And then you also, I mean, this is almost the only time I talk about crystals on this video actually, but the daily deals sometimes have better deals. Like if you compare it to the price of how much it costs for Electrium just for straight up crystals, sometimes the daily deals have it so that you spend the same amount on Electrium that you normally would, but then you get a bunch of other pieces of gear or signal data or relic materials, whatever, alongside it that make it into a better per crystals value. So it's worth noting that sometimes those daily deals are worthwhile. The wristband trick. Now let me show you this real quick, guys. Let's get to, I think we gotta go to this one. Yeah, okay, so I call this the wristband trick. You can do it for all of these. So for Electrium, sometimes it's like, okay, I have 136. I have 136 this material, and I have, I mean that's enough to get, you know, a few. We can get 26 of these. But here's the thing, guys. If you have enough materials, you can click on the wristband, you hit craft, and so you see we have 136 here. But then you click on the other material, the Mark 6 Carbanti, and a lot of people will have way more of these because you can't use them anywhere else, and you can't trade these in for Electrium. Those are just sitting there dormant. But as long as you have enough to also make a full piece, then all you have to do is hit that craft button. Cool, so we made one, and now we're using those pieces plus the wristband pieces to get Electrium. And this is, I mean, eventually you're going to run out of those other side pieces as well, but you accumulate them naturally over time, so it's probably worth it. Like you can see that for these visors, I still have over 428 of the side pieces for it, but the main piece I only have 138, and so it's probably worthwhile to create these, and then all you gotta do, get some Electrium, guys. That's all you gotta do. So let's get back to the actual slideshow and talk about more Electrium. No, more bottlenecks though, folks. Now, Kyrotech, this one is complex. This is the one that is probably the biggest, most pervasive one, and the one that I get the most questions about, because I think it can be beat if people kind of concentrate on working on it with their guild. You gotta find a guild that's going to do this with you. But okay, so first off, beyond GET2 into GET3, which is somewhere that's the cheapest way to buy Kyrotech, the most accessible. You can also use GAC currency. That's probably the best use of GAC currency out there, is to just buy Kyrotech. And then you don't want to spend your raid currency on it from weekly shipments. Don't do that. Don't spend your legend tokens. Dear Lord, please don't do that. People tell me they're like, oh yeah, I just use the legends tokens. I'm like, so you don't want Omicrons? They're like, oh, I have enough Omicron. You don't have enough Omicrons, folks. You don't. Trust me, you don't. You need to feel dissatisfied and sad. You need to be borderline crying about your Omicron status because you don't have enough. If you think you have enough, then I don't get it, but you can buy Kyrotech as well. You can farm it if you're not farming all the characters and stuff. Hold on. Whew, excuse me. I started coughing for some reason. Now you can buy the energy. You can buy it with energy. And then you also get Bronzium Wiring. That's the best node in the game, guys. Is 7B on light side or 8A on dark side. That's not as good, but you can get Kyrotech pieces on 8A as well. But then, honestly, guys, the best way in the game that you can get Kyrotech is through GET2 and GET3. Yes, you might want to spend those materials on other things, including exclusive characters that you can only buy them for raid currency or GET2 or 3, and that's a worthy investment as well. But if you look at and I'm not trying to brag here, folks. I'm in one of the bigger guilds in the game, and we do have one of the better results in the game. But we record it every time how much we earn every single time we do Rise of the Empire territory battle, and I'm not going to just read out all these numbers. You guys can do it for yourselves. But because we unlock Zepho, we unlock Mandalore, we get the stars for them, and then we also do all the special missions. At the end of the day, we have enough, if we're just going to spend our GET2 and 3 currency on Kyrotech, then it equates to almost 500 total Kyrotech salvage, which is a crazy amount, guys. That's 10 full Kyrotech pieces, which is really cool. But the other thing is, some of that is, like, we get a pretty nice star number. We get 43. That's good. But even if you took the stars away, we'd actually earn more Kyrotech from the special missions and the bonus planets than we would from the actual territory battle rewards from the actual stars. So we get like, what, 260 something like that from the special missions and stuff. So special missions, guys, if you can talk your guild into doing them, that's why I'm always pushing. I'm like, guys, get into a better guild if you can. Like, here's a way to get into a better guild. Here's a way to make yourself more valuable. That's not idle chat. It's like, well, if you can get into a guild that does Rise of the Empire at a high level, you're going to solve your Kyrotech problems a lot more. In smaller guilds, there's way less emphasis on doing the special missions. In bigger guilds, or guilds that are smart, they're starting to really push the special missions that are going to get them a lot of Kyrotech and stuff. And you can use the GET2 if you have enough Kyrotech to buy Gear 12 pieces as well. It's just a good idea, folks. So this isn't really a video about how to get into a better guild or whatever, but I mean, seriously, give us some thought, folks. Working on those special missions is going to solve your Kyrotech issues. It just will. It's a crazy influx of stuff. Go work on Bo-Katan, guys. That's one of the reasons I'm telling you, because she's going to earn it for you. Go get Cal unlocked. That's another way you get it. Let's move on. Omicrons. Now, this hasn't really changed too much. I will say that if you want to buy the pass the Conquest Pass every month, that's great. If you don't want to spend money, that's fine. You do get 2 Omicrons in there for having purchased the pack. If you don't, you still get 2 Omicrons for getting past, what, Crate 5 and Crate 6, something like that. You can get 1 Omicron on each of those. You can also probably want to buy Kyrotech with GT3, or you want to buy the modding pieces, whatever they're called. But if you don't want to do that, if you have too much GT3, You could always buy them in the weekly shipments. You can get 1 Omicron. That's fine. You can also, in Legend, so Legend tokens, remember how I said you should not buy whatever else with Legend tokens? That's because whatever else is a horrible, terrible level of value as opposed to Omicrons. Omicrons are magic, they're amazing, and that's by far the best way to spend them to spend Legend tokens. And you should be doing that. Also, guys, try your best. A lot of people think, I've run into this a few times, where people are like, man, I can't get red crate in galactic challenges. I just can't, so I don't even bother. I just get like the lowest crate that has 1 Omicron and call it good. Guys, if you can get to crate 8, then you can, like, so 8, 9, and 10. So 2 below red crate, you still get 2 Omicrons. I know most of you people know that. Some people don't know it, so I'm hopefully we get a few comments saying like, oh, I didn't know that thing, Zareth, you know, hopefully, or just even if you did know it, you could just pretend like it to, you know, help give me a boost. We all need boosts, guys. But all right, I'll tell you what would really boost my signal data now. But signal data, this is an older slide as well, but you can buy them in daily deals sometimes. Similar thing to buying those other the relic pieces, the relic materials. Sometimes they're going to be a good deal. First off, signal data. If you can, I realize I used to say you should always do 3 refreshes in Cantina. I know that's not always possible at the lower levels because your crystal income is just not nearly as high because you're not in as high of a GAC league, which you can fix, by the way, if you're really focused on doing it. Come watch me play on Twitch, guys. You can do some crazy stuff and get into higher leagues. And it's not cheating. Your opponents may accuse you of it, but it's more like magic. But 3 refreshes in Cantina if you can. Always doing signal data, guys, unless you're farming a character. But if you can, this is a very important. This is a bottleneck that hits huge in the end game, and honestly, it hits everywhere in the game. But that, like, even bigger in the end game. Weekly shipments, that's an okay place to spend crystals, folks. Buying signal data with crystals is not too bad, but one of the best ways to get more signal data is to buy them with conquest currency. Really awesome. And then I would also add, and I didn't put this in the slide because this is a recycled slide, get your assault battles all the way done, all the way to tier 3, because every time you have an assault battle, you can get a pretty decent amount of signal data on the final 2 nodes, but you have to have get them to the point that you're simming them, and then you just automatically get them every time. It's a nice little boost. Now, Zetas, I didn't add this for the last one because I didn't feel like it was much of a bottleneck, but I do think it is a pretty huge bottleneck for some people. I mean, it is for 2 of my accounts. My main account has 266 materials, and I just applied the final Zeta in the whole game, so I just have a bonus extra, 13 just sitting around. It's madness. But so Fleet Arena currency, guys, just spend it on that. Please don't get don't get shard store currency. Please don't get shard store currency instead of Zetas. People tell me they do that all the time. It is a terrible deal compared to Zetas, and how the frustration you're going to feel by not having enough. And don't tell me you'll never get into a Zeta bottleneck, because tons of people have told me that as well, and then they've messaged me and been like, I was wrong. I'm in a huge bottleneck now. Okay, well, I'll refrain from telling you I told you so, I guess. The guild activity store, guys, if you're in a big guild that is getting a really nice raid crate every time, sometimes you can't keep up with that production. You can't use all those relic materials. It's then acceptable to buy Zetas with the Mark 3 currency. Sometimes it's not, don't just spam that, but it is sometimes a nice way to get a couple extra Zetas and supplement your income. Also, go buy that weekly shipment Omega pack if that's something you need early to mid game. It's extremely nice and really kind of vital for a lot of people. Honestly, really good stuff. So that's it, folks. What are some bottlenecks that you have that I didn't talk about? I would honestly, If there is one, I would genuinely want to hear it so I can include it in the next video and do some research, try to figure it out. So I would like to hear it, guys. I hope this was helpful. Thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Zereth prevails.